I think that that's like a real trap is to want to be white collar in your creative work too soon. You know what I mean? Like, I think that I've never heard it put that way, that it's a very blue collar beginning to just like, you have to go do grunt work and you have to make it's not going to be
Yeah.
easy.
Well, I'm a pragmatist, man. I think you just like, it's just levels,
Mm,
steps to get to the thing that you want to.
yeah.
And everyone in my industry, especially who are high up, they talk in these weird magical ways,
Yeah.
like where it just like the language is hard to understand. It sounds like almost kind of
Made
scientific
up
and
jargon language.
just jargony
Yeah.
jargon. And like, I just, as soon as I hear it, I'm like, what are these people saying?
Yeah.
This is like, when I talk to people, it's like, hey, I want to get another job. I don't like the job I'm in. And then I'm just like, hey, here's what I think you should do. Just refine these pieces,
Mm,
show the work that you want to get, and then apply in this way. And I think usually works.
yeah.
So I think advice en masse too, like taking advice from, like a book or someone on stage, right? I mean, there's going to be some advice that works really good for some people, but I think usually where you're at, you'll need like very specific steps to like
True.
how to get to the next thing that you want.
Yeah, for sure. And thinking your path will look like some, if you listen to, if you're trying to be, I don't know what, who's a crazy success, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like if you,
Yeah.
like his story is so insane. And like, if you try and emulate his story to success, you will probably not make
No,
it
of course
because
not.
his
Yeah.
story is
Yeah.
so weird and full of
It's so
luck. And
weird.
he is like all these different things that just lined up, like in the way that his life played out. And he worked for it, but it's like, and he's been like a millionaire in like 3 different industries. Like he's just a crazy, like, person all the way around. And so if you try and copy
I,
his journey, it's like you're probably gonna you should do your own journey. You know what I mean? And so
yeah, I think that when I was young, I thought my career would look more like I was looking at Asterisk Studios, which is like this
yeah,
design studio in Seattle, and they're defunct now because two of the guys moved on to do Invisible Creature, and then the other two I think started Visco or VSCO or whatever. And when I was in school, they were major motivators for me. I was just looking at that work and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do album art for metal bands,
yeah, for sure.
And it's like, and then I ended up making mostly socks, for like 2 years of my freelance career. I was doing like, like Star Wars socks
Yeah,
and NBA socks. And these things are cool because I love stance. And honestly, when I look at that work, I'm like, if I had shown that to my previous self, the one that was in college, that previous self would have never imagined those are
right,
the kinds of things that I would be doing in my career. And they're just as fun for me.
sure.
But that industry didn't exist, that company didn't exist. And turns out that there's not really metal bands anymore.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
there are metal bands, there's still the metal bands, but they weren't reaching the apex they were before.
Oh
So
yeah,
if I really thought that I was going to be doing album artwork, I would have emulated. I could have easily been disappointed because I wasn't doing a ton of visual art for albums. But at the same time, like, yeah, that living your own path and kind of trusting that eventually, like, more interesting things will come along, or different interesting things rather.
mm,
That's just, dude, I designed a bicycle. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I put artwork on surfboards. Like, none of these things, like,
right,
no one told me in school, like, you should be mocking up your work on a bicycle or marking up your
right,
work on surfboards. Like, it's just like, I decided, like, grabbing me on anything. It just bums me out that people don't think in those ways.
right.
Like, I wish that they would just realize that every single thing on the planet could be more interesting or aesthetically made.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Assuming that your journey is going to turn out in a very specific way, you kind of have to hold it a little bit more loosely and just trust that, making the right choices, making the right decisions, and staying true to yourself and working your ass off. That combination of things will probably get you somewhere really, really good, but maybe not where you envisioned 10 years ago when you first had this dream or whatever.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, there's just so many people I knew end up doing interesting, weird stuff like
Yes.
later
Uh
in
huh.
design because they were just kind of open to those opportunities. I mean, there's so many times where somebody was like, "I'm going to start this kind of brand." I'm like, "I don't think it's going to work." And then it works. And
Hmm.
you're like, that's so cool that there's just like new industry, new opportunity in that way.